What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video on my channel Skotrix, and today as you can see we are back not on NBA 2K21 but instead we're going to be back on this tier chart right here for the second day of a 4-part series on my channel where I'm going to be ranking the best badges in every single category. Yesterday I did finishing, today will be the best shooting badges in NBA 2K21 next gen, tomorrow will be playmaking, and the day after that will be defense. So I'll have you covered with every single badge category, but before we get to that really quickly I just want to mention I don't want to run this video too long, so I'm just going to give a brief description of why I'm putting each badge where I'm putting it, and I'm not really going to get too in depth into it just because I don't want the video to be like 30-40 minutes long, and there is quite a few shooting badges in this game, so I really don't want to make it too crazy. And also I want to mention really quickly, if y'all have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you click that subscribe button. Only about 2% of people who watch my videos are actually subbed to my channel, so if you click that subscribe button right now you can join the 2% gang. I really appreciate it, it helps a lot. And also I stream on Twitch, my Twitch link will be down in the description below. If you're interested in live streams, make sure you go follow me over there. I really appreciate all the support over there as well. But with all that being said, without any further ado, let's get right into the video here. Alright, so first things first, we're going to start off right here with volume shooter, and I'm going to put volume shooter into the C category. This is a pretty mid badge. It's decent, it's not amazing. If you're shooting more than twice in a 1-minute span during the game, then I would recommend getting this badge. You know, if you're shooting almost every possession, then it's definitely worth your time to invest into this badge. If not, you can ignore it. It's not worth it for you. It really is just made for players who shoot all game and really don't stop shooting. So that's volume shooter. Next up right here we have tireless shooter. I'm going to put this into the D category. Again, this is kind of the same category as volume shooter. If you're an ISO player where you dribble a lot and then you shoot, I would recommend this badge because you're going to have low stamina a lot from dribbling so much. If not, this is pretty much a useless badge. If you sit in the corner and catch off the catch and shoot, this is really a useless badge for you and you can ignore it. But it is decent for builds that dribble a lot before they shoot because you're going to tend to have lower stamina when you're actually shooting. So you're going to need this badge to give you that boost back. And next up right here we have stop and pop, and stop and pop I'm going to put into the B category. This is a really good badge for players who play off of screens a lot. Like if you have a big man setting you a screen and you're a guard and you run off the screen and shoot a lot, then this is definitely a badge that I would recommend for you. Not really as much for ISO players. Really, rhythm shooter is more of a badge for ISO players, whereas stop and pop is more of a badge for players who run off of screens. So you could put it on if you have a lot of shooting badges on an ISO guard, but I really recommend it for players who run off screens. For a big man or a wing that plays off ball, you really don't need it too much. It's really more of an on-ball player badge. So yeah, that's stop and pop right there. Next up we have sniper, and sniper is a really weird badge. If you shoot with the aim feature in the game, the aim stick or whatever, definitely this is an S tier badge for you. If you don't, it's useless. It's pretty much an F tier because if you shoot with the button, it does absolutely nothing to help you. So I really only recommend it for people who shoot with the aim feature. Then it would definitely be an S tier, but I'll put it in the C category just because it really is a weird badge where it only helps a certain group of people and it's absolutely useless for the majority of people in the game. So I'm going to put it in the C category right there. But like I said, it really is just dependent on how you play. And next up right here we have slippery off ball. I'm going to put slippery off ball into the F category. I mean, it's really a pretty useless badge. There's so many better badges that you could put on rather than this badge. I really don't recommend it unless you're like constantly getting stuck on defenders when you're trying to move around off ball, but I highly doubt that's happening, so you really don't need this badge. F category for sure. Next up right here we have rhythm shooter. I'm going to put rhythm shooter right beside stop and pop in the B category. I think it is a decent badge. Again, more for ISO players who are going to be, you know, comboing up for a few seconds and then shooting. This is definitely a badge that you're going to want to invest into. If that doesn't sound like you, if you're an off-ball player or a player who doesn't really do too many dribble moves, then you probably don't need rhythm shooter. But if you are a player who does a lot of dribble moves, then it's definitely a super valuable badge and I recommend it for you. Next up right here we have ice and veins. Ice and veins is a weird one because for the park it's obviously useless, but if you're playing in the rec or something, it could be decent for certain builds. I'm going to put it into the D category right here, and the main reason why is because it doesn't even help you shoot free throws for the whole game. It only helps you shoot free throws in the like end games, in close games. So really only if it's a clutch situation you're going to be able to shoot free throws better. If it's a blowout at the end of the game, it's not going to help. If it's a close game but it's not at the end of the game, it's not going to help. It only helps in those situations where it's the end of the game and it's close. So it's a very weird badge. It barely ever helps you and I really don't recommend it too much unless you struggle making free throws in the clutch, obviously. So D tier, could even go in the E tier, but I'll throw it in the D tier right here. And next up right here, we have the first S category badge. This is going to be Hot Zone Hunter. This is a super good badge. If you have hot zones, you definitely need Hot Zone Hunter. Period. There's really not too much more to say about it. Hot Zone Hunter is a super good badge. And next up, another really good badge is going to be Hot Shot. This is another S category badge. If you have a shooting takeover, I definitely recommend getting Hot Shot. It will help you get it way faster. Even if you have another takeover and you have a lot of shooting badges, you could still consider investing into this because it'll help you get any takeover faster. But obviously it helps the shooting takeovers the most. So Hot Shot right there, S category badge for sure. Next up right here, we have Set Shooter. I'm going to put Set Shooter into the B category. If you take a lot of set shots, I definitely recommend this badge. If not, you can probably ignore it because it's really not going to help you. Basically what this badge does is if you catch the ball and you wait a second and then you shoot it, boom, you're going to get a boost. Even if you don't catch it, even if you're dribbling and you set for a second before you shoot, it'll give you a boost as long as you're not shooting directly off the dribble or anything. So it is a decent badge, but I find that a lot of situations this badge won't even be able to work because a lot of the times you don't have time to just set up really well to take the shot. So it's a mid category badge. If you have a lot of shooting badges and you play off ball, maybe I would invest into it, but if not, you could really kind of ignore it. Next up right here, we have Green Machine, probably the most overrated badge in all of 2K history. I'm going to put Green Machine into the D category right here. And I've made individual videos explaining why Green Machine is really overrated, so I'm not going to get too into it in this video, but there's just so many better badges than Green Machine. You really don't need it under any circumstances unless you're greening like 80% of your shots, which nobody does. Check your park stats. If you have an 80% 3-point percentage, then you can put Green Machine on. If you don't, then don't put it on. And next up right here, we have Fade Ace. I'm going to put Fade Ace into the... Well, this is a hard one to rank because if you shoot a lot of post fadeaways, it's really good. If you don't shoot post fadeaways, it's useless. So I'll put it into the C category, but it could be good, it could be bad. It's really hard to rank, but post fadeaways can be really effective. So maybe I'll put it into the B category right here, just because post fadeaways can be good if you have this badge and you know how to shoot them. So yeah, post fades, B category badge, definitely recommend it if you shoot post fades. If you don't, you can ignore it. Next up right here, we have difficult shots. I'm going to put difficult shots into the D category, or I'll put it into the E category even, just because it's really not super useful. A lot of the times people don't shoot fadeaway mid-ranges. It's easier just to set and shoot, or if you are going to shoot a fadeaway mid-range, you're usually going to be wide open and you probably won't need this badge anyways. So E category badge, I don't really recommend difficult shots unless you find yourself taking a ton of like Ticino type of shots in the mid-range. Then you can put it on, but otherwise it's pretty much useless for you. Next up right here, we have another S category badge, and that's going to be deep threes. Not too much to say about this. Super important badge. If you shoot threes, you're definitely going to want to invest into this as high as possible. Pretty much that's it, period. Super good badge right there. Next up right here, we have Deadeye, and I know this is not the icon for Deadeye, but it's what I'm going to use for Deadeye for this video. And I'm going to put Deadeye into the B category. It really is a decent badge. It's not amazing, like it's not an S category badge or anything, but it really is pretty good for most builds. If you have enough shooting badges to get Deadeye, I definitely recommend putting it on, especially if you're an off-ball shooter. Deadeye is going to be a super important badge for you. If you're an on-ball player, maybe not as much, but it's still a decent badge that I would recommend putting on if you have enough. So yeah, that's Deadeye right there. Next up right here, we have Corner Specialist. I'm going to put Corner Specialist into the C category, and it's really just because it doesn't give too big of a boost. But if you only shoot from the corner, I would definitely recommend Corner Specialist. If you're shooting from the corner like half the time, it's probably not worth it because that little boost on half of your shots probably isn't worth it over some other finishing or shooting rather badges that you could get. So I don't really recommend Corner Specialist unless you're only shooting from the corner, or unless you have just a ton of shooting badges and you can afford to get it. But next up right here, we have Clutch Shooter. I'm going to put Clutch Shooter into the D category. This is an okay badge, not amazing, definitely not amazing, but it is okay. And if you have like 25 plus shooting badges, you could invest into this. Otherwise, I would probably ignore it just because there's so many better shooting badges. Not because it's a terrible badge, there's just so many more important badges that you can get rather than Clutch Shooter. So a D category badge, mid, but not on the upper side of the mid. Really a little bit more leaning towards being a bad badge than a really good badge. And next up right here, we have Circus 3s. I'm going to put Circus 3s into the A category. I recommend this badge for anybody who wants to be shooting crazy threes. And even though it was nerfed a little bit with the crazy fadeaway threes, it still is really good if you know how to do it. So Circus 3s is going to go into the A category right here. It's not an S tier badge, and I really can't put it any lower than A, just because some people with this badge go absolutely crazy greening every fadeaway 3. So Circus 3s goes in the A category. Next up right here we have Catch and Shoot, and I'm going to put Catch and Shoot also into the A category. This is a really good badge. If you're an off-ball player, you definitely want Catch and Shoot. If you're playing on ball, obviously it's not going to be as important, but if you're a big man or a wing or even an off-ball guard, Catch and Shoot is definitely a very good badge, especially if you're playing in the rec or the pro-am or something like that, where there's a lot of passes and a lot less ISO. Catch and Shoot is going to be a very good badge for you. Next up right here we have Blinders. Blinders is still a good badge, even though they nerfed it a bit. I'm going to put it into the B category. Obviously not as good as it once was in the S category, but it still is very good. I would put it on par with Deadeye now, and I still definitely would recommend putting on Blinders if you have enough badges to get it. So yeah, that's Blinders right there. And then next up right here, this is actually the final badge. We have Antifreeze, and I'm going to put Antifreeze into the E category. Obviously if you're getting cold a lot, like every game or every second game, then I would definitely recommend putting on Antifreeze as high as you can get it. But if not, it's pretty much useless. It really is a badge more for bad players, kind of like how Flexible Release was, but obviously it's not the same as Flexible Release, because what it does is prevent you from getting cold, whereas Flexible Release helped people that really couldn't shoot or couldn't time their shots. So Antifreeze is really more of a badge for bad players. If you're really bad or really new to the game, maybe it's a badge that you would consider investing into, but otherwise you can probably ignore it. If you're not getting cold all the time, it's going to be a useless badge for you. So yeah, here we go. These are the final shooting badges ranked right here on the tier list for NBA 2K21 Next Gen. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with this list, what you would change, what you would move up, what you would move down. I'm really interested to hear what other people have to say about this, but I think overall this is a pretty good tier list right here. So yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Obviously Playmaking is coming out tomorrow and Finishing came out yesterday, so if you're interested in those, make sure you check those out as well. And also if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you click that subscribe button. Only about 2% of people who watch my videos are actually subbed to my channel, so if you click that subscribe button right now, you can join the 2% gang. I really appreciate it, helps out a lot. And also check out my Twitch if you enjoy watching live streams. I really appreciate all the support over there as well. But yeah, that's going to be it. All right, peace.